Okay, good evening, folks. Welcome to another episode of In the Gutter Chat House. Today I'm with Dave Howarth, Sheffield illustrator, cartoonist, graphic designer. We're going to do something a little bit different today and talk to Dave about his artwork, which involves doing work for various bands, besides other work that he does as well along the route. So Dave, tell us a bit about your work that you do.
Well, hello. Like you say, I'm an illustrator and graphic designer, cartoonist mainly. I do the graphic design to feed the illustration work, which is the stuff I want to do. It's not always there, but it's for a wide variety of customers, really. And the music scene, a lot of which is down to yourself. I'd say. A lot of the contacts have come sort of directly or indirectly from yourself, as well as the local music scene, obviously up here. Try and get involved with. And that's such icing on the cake, that kind of work. It's not always there, but it's usually the nicest kind of work. But I do work for football teams and local breweries, things like that. So it's just hunting it down all the time, keeping it moving. If not, I feed it with general graphic design work. I've done that for the last 40 years, something like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, what took you down the path of being an artist then? When can you remember back to as a child? Can you remember picking up your pencils and doing your first scribblings?
Well, there's no artists as such in my family. My mum always worked when she was younger, obviously.
Yeah.
In advertising agencies, and I'd say only, but in the accounts departments and things like that. So I used to go in as a kid to go and pick her up, dad or whatever, and I used to go in to the studios.
Right.
And used to quite early doors, and they let me sit amongst all artists in old days when you got graphic designers sat at drawing boards before computers, obviously.
Yeah.
And I can remember just falling in love with the whole, like dingy dark rooms with these sorts of old artists with like pale artists sat in corners scribbling away. And I've always, as a kid, I had toys, but I just like paper and pencils and drawing stuff. Little lad, really. And then there was not a real uncle, but an uncle, some friend of the family who did a bit of cartooning. And I can remember falling in love with the stuff he did and copying what he did. Then I found at school I could take the mickey out of teachers without getting to bother by drawing cartoons. So very early caricatures, if you like. Yeah. And then it just developed from there. It was the only thing I was interested in, art. And a teacher at school said, have you thought about going to college in graphic design? And that's what I did. So that's how it ended up being.
That wasn't your first job though, was it? Because you did do a bit of building contractor work.
Well, yeah, like I say, there are lots of things on the way. My first job had nothing to do with it at all. Well, I suppose it was painting or painting a factory room.
Yeah, to the sound of
I'm the world's worst graphic painter and world's worst at heights. And I was up a ladder with a roof ladder on top of a factory with a fella pouring paint down the roof, and we got scrubbing brushes and just health and safety had shut it down straight away now. It was for a mate's dad, and it was actually called Crapper Building Services.
Oh, right.
Quite fittingly.
That
was my first painting job.
Yeah, and to the sound of Black Sabbath as well.
Yeah, Black Sabbath's Greatest Hits, with the Hieronymus Bosch cover on it.
Yeah.
We used to sit in the house opposite where he lived, opposite this factory, having his dinner. And one day they got me burning paint off the factory gate. Little known to me, it was rotten on the inside, and actually this blowtorch had set it on fire on the inside. So we were having his dinner, and fire engine turned up, and we were like, what's going off there? And we'd actually set fire to the door. So that would end my building career.
Yeah. So how old were you when you began getting into rock music? What were your influences as well then, on that side of it?
Well, sort of like everybody else, early teenagers. I'd had sort of Mud and Sweet and people like that, but more because I'd seen them on Top of the Pops than thinking about the rock music. And then I'd say I always put it down to a mate of mine who's now a professor at Hull University of all things.
Oh right. Okay.
You wouldn't have thought of then. Spud, they called him. And we had his mum and dad. As soon as his mum and dad went away anyway, we'd all pile down to his house with cans of cider and whatever else we could buy. And so like 1978, and I'd be like 14 as I remember.
Yeah.
And, I just remember this cacophony coming from the front room, and it was my mate was the lad whose house it was. He got a sheet ripped and over his head like a cape, like an Ace Frehley style cape, and he went banging and dashing about and duck walking and. What's this? What you're listening to? What's this? AC/DC, If You Want Blood.
Oh,
and you know when you go, Ping, I thought, this is brilliant. I want some of this.
Yeah.
And of course, I went out and bought it and sought cover an album. And my mum hated it even being in house, and that were it really. We just sold from that point onwards, been buying records and so yeah. But I'd say like sort of 78ish is when sort of got bit by the heavy rock bug.
That's right, yeah. And one of your favourite bands as well from that era, and I think I like to do this. I get my vinyl out. Look, this is one of your favourite albums, I believe, wasn't it?
That'd be amongst the first I ever bought. I'd have thought. Yeah. What year was that? 1980, something like that.
Yeah. But that is one of your favourite UFO albums, isn't it? Or
that's my favourite UFO album.
That's right.
I actually prefer. Well, I like Schenker, but I just like Chapman here. I think Chapman's rated. I love all that.
Yeah. One
of the best bands I've ever seen live as well.
I think as a teenager, it was the cover you liked as well, though.
Yeah, could have helped. That was never a bad thing, was it?
No. Yeah, but unfortunately, we lost Mr. Chapman earlier this year as well, though. Along with,
three of them gone in quick succession.
Yeah, I got my Wasted T-shirt on. Look.
Yeah, that was a tragedy.
Yeah,
I love that guy.
What other bands have you been into? Obviously, Def Leppard and Saxon from your kind of area of the woods.
Saxon more than Def Leppard, I think.
Yeah,
I do like Def Leppard. I was saying to somebody the other day, I'd never say they're one of my favourite bands by a long way, but I've got most of their albums. I've seen them no end of times. Yeah. I've never seen them do a bad gig, so must be somewhere. But I always felt more connection with Saxon, really, even though they were more Barnsley area, like.
Right.
They used to, the reason being, because once I got the bug in 1980, I saw my first gig in 1980 at City Hall in Sheffield.
Yeah.
And then you're completely sold on it, aren't you? Then, you know, the excitement of it. And we're only a kid, and all older people around us, a bit frightening, but exciting at the same time. And then, one after another, all these big bands came to City Hall, which is still a fantastic venue, but they just don't use it. And Saxon were one of they felt like ours, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well,
and they came every year, and you know, just that's what I liked.
Yeah.
I was definitely more into British heavy metal in those days.
Yeah.
Like the new wave of British heavy metal kind of stuff.
Mm.
And then 80s, you know, MTV and Van Halen and Kiss and all that sort of stuff came along.
That's right. Did you? I think I've asked you this question before, but did you catch Van Halen with the Black Sabbath?
No,
on that 78 tour?
Before my time, really.
Yeah,
that was my first gig were 80, by which time they stopped coming anywhere near England, haven't they?
Yeah,
Until 84.
But one of your favourite bands currently as well is Kiss still, I presume?
Oh yeah, old habits die hard, don't they?
Yeah.
I got the bug with Kiss at the same time as AC/DC, really. And that's based purely on, and I think a lot of people like this, it's based purely on the cover and the image. As a 14-year-old, just like aliens, weren't they?
That's it, yeah.
You'd no chance of hearing them then, and you'd no chance of seeing them pretty much. Just like something from another planet. And I bought it on the Live 2 album.
Yeah.
Shortly after I bought If You Want Blood. And just, you know, like when you open it up and all stay. and that's it. And from that point onwards, I've just never not liked, you know, just... And the more they annoy people, the more I like them.
So Which AC/DC do you prefer, the Bon Scott or the Brian Johnson, or is that a tough question?
It's like asking me which testicle I prefer, really. I like them both for different reasons. I love Bon Scott. I think Bon Scott, but then, of course, the first band I ever saw live were AC/DC on Back in Black tour.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've always got soft spot. I think the best albums came, Back in Black's untouchable, but the best albums came, maybe 3-4 albums before that were the best, the ones that play most, probably. So you can probably say Bon Scott, but I have no problem with either, really.
Going back to your artwork and taking us forward with the music, at what point did your talent of drawing cross over with your love of rock music? Was it quite early on, or?
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, it was. It would have been at college. I went to college in Sheffield for 4 years, 1980 to 84.
Yeah.
So at the time, everybody, except a select band of mates, were New Romantics or Tail End of Scar, and everybody got long fringes and big long coats, and everything in Sheffield, like all northern towns, and with all grey, post-industrial glumness. And it was all electronic music and the like. But there was a technician at college, a photography technician, and he was the manager of a new wave of heavy metal band called Geddy Sachs.
Oh, right, yeah, I've heard of that.
Like a bit, yeah, like a local heavy rock band. And had a modicum of success. And a mate of mine did a single for them, one of their single covers.
Right.
Saying a mate of mine, he wasn't a mate of mine, so I've not seen him since college. Somebody went to college with me. And I've got the single somewhere, and I thought, I can do better than that. How's he managed that? How's he managed to get that? So that was, and I actually submitted some designs to him that didn't. I don't think they ever saw light of day or anything like that. But that would be the first time I sort of get into bands and trying to get them to use my artwork.
Yeah.
And then there was a family friend who owned a really crappy little club in Sheffield, down in Attercliffe. They wanted to put bands on, and the local bands then I did, not anything that ended. There were a band called Leave It to Bert. I think they're like what you class as indie now and stuff. Right, I think that would be the first ever single. I've got it somewhere, not to show you now, but I've got it, and it's absolutely dreadful. It's the first one I'd ever done, so I've got it somewhere. And then actually, shortly after that, an ex-member of the original Human League.
Oh, right, okay.
Was doing a solo album. Ian Burden, I think they called him. Ian Burden.
Yeah, because they again are a Sheffield band as well, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah. And his first solo album after them was called Swag. And I did the artwork for him based on what he'd done. So
right.
Because that kind of music was obviously omnipresent around Sheffield in the early 80s.
Yeah.
Except for us who were status quo fans.
You're quite renowned for drawing famous bands, musicians. Did your favourite bands influence the bands and artists that you drew? Or did you get requests for them? How did you go down that route of
just caricaturing bands?
Yeah.
Well, originally, it's nothing to do with bands I like particularly, because I've done all sorts. I'll do whatever. Yeah. So it has been requests, and then, to be perfectly frank, it's whatever I think I can sell. Whatever's current at the time, I'll do it. And some people ask, and I think, we'll buy prints of that. So.
Because there does seem to be like quite a series of these photos. You've obviously not photos, drawings, and you've numbered them all. Are you keeping up with that series of drawings, or have they kind of come to a bit of a halt? I've noticed there's not as many new ones as there used to be. Or
no, it's just down to what I try to do is I do that kind of work to fill in when the paying workers dried up, if you
Right.
like. So if you see a glut of them, you know I've not much work on at work. So
Right,
I've been doing all right lately. So not been many done. I do need to update it because just to get people looking at them again. Really.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just basically down to that. That's how I pay my mortgage, mate. So
Yeah.
I'll draw anybody. I'll draw anything and everything. What anybody wants.
Do you? I mean, you've missed a lost count of the amount of drawings that you've done.
Yeah.
Obviously, but do you have a favourite out of any that you've done? A favourite drawing of a musical artist that you've done?
I can get it up now. I can get it off the wall and show you one I did at school, and it was probably I've got it on the wall.
Right. Okay.
Framed up. And it's probably the first one I did that got any reaction from anybody.
Right.
And made me think, oh, crikey, I might be able to do something here. Because in fact, it's this drawing that led to me going to college. Because the teacher said, you really ought to be owning your skills a bit, and you might be able to be a bit of a career you can go to.
Right.
So if you've got a second, it'll take me literally 30 seconds to get it.
Yeah, go on.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's go for it.
Right, I'm back.
Okay. Oh.
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
Schoolboy's Pockets, it was called. And I did that in the last year at school.
Right.
And the teacher said, they liked it that much, they said, you really ought to think about doing that as a career. Because I couldn't do anything else.
Oh. That's brilliant. But I mean, I've got a favourite of yours. This one here, look.
Oh yeah. That'll always be a favourite. Because I've forgotten about that version actually.
Yeah. I've got this version on my wall, obviously, because I'm in it as well. But the Whiskey Avenue EP that this work was done for, I think is absolutely up there with kind of like Iron Maiden type work, really, because you develop this character. We've got so much to see in the picture. It's just excellent, you know.
I like that one. I've always been pleased with that one.
Couldn't ask for more with that, really. Absolutely one of my favourites. But obviously that character, the cat character, has been developed over time and put into other things as well. So yeah, thanks for that, Dave. I appreciate that very much.
I always, when I'm showing people examples of work, I always put that in there anyway.
I think you're quite proud of that cat as well yourself, aren't you? You've developed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. Well, think about how we met each other. I'm thinking it seems that long. I'm thinking I can't even remember how we got talking, but I know I saw your logo, your original Guttercat's logo somewhere, and I really liked it. That sort of black and white skull and crossbones type.
Yeah.
I remember getting took. You were in the chat room or something, wasn't it? So I can't remember why. And I just asked you if I could update it, and you went, "Yeah, go for it. Whatever, do what you want."
Yeah. I to be honest, it's been over 10 years, I think, since we originally started chatting, really, and developing the artwork and things. I can't really remember, like yourself, how it started or when it started. But yeah. When are you going to write a book? And put your drawings in, and your little quotes from life that are quite entertaining, really.
Can you imagine that, a book about me? No.
Well, not necessarily about you, but I think that you could put a book out there with your drawings and your little quotes that you put up.
Well, it's that I think somewhere there's a story in everybody, isn't there? They're usually best. I don't mean mine. They're usually best stories, aren't they? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm quite looking forward to reading Butts' book when it comes out.
Yeah.
Because I love that guy. I love chatting with that guy. He's fantastic, isn't he? Proper rebel, you know, in the true sense of the word, isn't he?
Yeah.
I can't wait to read his stories. I hope he comes out. Like, we've all got stories, haven't we? But
yeah. He pops up in every conversation.
I keep toying with trying to do a kids book based on my granddaughters, and it's all, they're all only ever half done. I never finish them off.
Oh, right.
So maybe I need a writer or a ghost writer.
It always springs to mind. You've got a picture that you post every year. I don't think it's one of yours though. Of your grandma in the kitchen.
Oh yeah, that's not by me.
It's not one of yours. But I kind of visualise you doing a book in that kind of vein, really, with different memories. Things gone.
Characters that I've come across, and like everybody, but yeah, you could.
Yeah.
That picture on the wall is by a local artist who's really become quite famous now. It's called Pete McKee.
Yeah.
And it basically is our age, maybe a bit younger than me, not much, but he's our era. And his points of reference, he started off basically doing Sheffield points of reference, and I'm sure an artist could do exactly the same in Coventry or whatever. Just local idiosyncrasies, things that products and shops, so that one that you've seen of my grandma, it's not my grandma at all.
No.
It's like anybody's grandma. But when she died, she left a little bit of money to everybody. She didn't have anything, and I thought I need to buy something fitting. And I was particularly a fan of his work at the time. I went looking for prints. I couldn't afford the original, obviously. Yeah. And I was just flicking through them, and I saw that one, and it was my grandma. It was like it painted my grandma. Absolutely perfect. She was there in a kitchen, even down to like pale blue kitchen table. Somebody who's out there when they just grab you, just touch something, and you think, bang! I've got this work all over the place in the house, and that's sort of. I don't want to copy him because people do copy him, and I just leave that to him. He's got that wrapped up, but it's hopefully I keep trying with these, with my rock pictures, that people might pick up on them.
Yeah. Your musical tastes, though, have kind of changed over the years. As you've kind of mellowed out a little bit. You're quite laid back in the bands that you follow now, aren't you?
I wouldn't say they've not changed as much because I've got every record I've ever bought. I've never given one away or anything.
No, I'm the same. Yeah.
I wouldn't, I don't sell records to anybody or get rid of them. There's one or two, obviously, that haven't aged well. But I still listen to the old stuff. But then, mellowed out to the extent the bands I go and see. We made a conscious decision a while back. So I saw Sabbath at Sheffield Arena.
Right.
It was 60, 70 quid, something like that. Well worth it. Because they were fabulous. And I needed to see Sabbath with Ozzy and Iommi and everything, because I hadn't until that point. I'd seen Sabbath without him. Yeah. I'd seen Ozzy on his own, but not seen them all together. Unfortunately, Bill wasn't there, but that's...
Yeah. Wow.
But I got to it. I'd started watching bands locally more than I'd done in past. And I thought, 70 quid, I can watch bands all year and buy merch from them. Yeah. But, for 70 quid, I could see bands all year. And we just made a conscious effort. I said, a mate of mine who I used to go and see gigs with, I said, right, that's it. I'm not going any more big gigs. There's nobody else I want to see in a big arena. Maybe Kiss or something. But I've seen them. Don't need to do that anymore. Yeah. And I thought, well, let's go out and just see what's around locally. And for whatever reason, there's a big scene in Sheffield, sort of Americana and alt country, as they call it. Yeah, not country and western, anything like that. But it's just that sort of feel to it. Yeah. But definitely Americana. But and there's
Jason
and the
Scorches type thing.
You what? Sorry.
Jason and the Scorches type thing.
Oh, yes. Well, there's a local pub. I'm saying local, obviously Sheffield's huge. It's actually on the other side of town. It's a pain to get to. There's a pub called Greystones. And there used to be a club in town called the Boardwalk or the Mucky Duck, Black Swan. Yeah. And like the Clash played the first ever gig there. It's a famous club in Sheffield. It's like just criminally being shut down. And the people who were there moved up to this pub in the outskirts of Sheffield. It's still in Sheffield, but well out. It's certainly opposite side of Sheffield from where I am, called the Greystones. And it's called the Back Room. And it's a function room in a pub.
Mm.
And the local promoter was a friend of mine called Mark Scott. He's a friend now, a good friend. He's been a fan of Georgia Satellites, Jason and the Scorchers. He's the same age as us. To a point where he run a bit of a fan club for Jason and the Scorchers.
Right.
And his big thing was he wanted eventually to try and get him to come over and play over here. And he ended up promoting a gig of Jason and the Scorchers in the Back Room at Greystones. And it's just like, but they played Farm Aid in front of like 100,000 people. And it's not a band, obviously I knew about them. It's not a band I followed as a young man, because I was into heavy metal and the like.
Yeah.
And you know, when you see a band and I'm just thinking, why have I not been buying this right back to 1980s? It's what they refer to it as cow punk, and it's like the energy of a punk rock gig. Playing Americana, if you like. Just when somebody just grabs you and just blows you away. And they're such nice blokes. It's like I've actually stood and talked and shot the breeze with Jason Ringenberg, you know, and just like, I can't believe this. And then there's other promoters who put on, you've heard me talk about the Honeybee Club.
You have.
Honeybee Blues Club.
Yeah.
And that's run by it's a gang of people, but the head honcho is, you've heard me talk about Martin Bedford.
Yeah.
And he gets some really good acts, not people have heard of before. And it's like, you know, I won't say folk music, English folk music, but that makes people think it's somebody with a finger in the ear.
Yeah.
It's not. It's like real touches, you know, lyrics and really, and some of the good bands that I've seen with them. And he puts them on over weekend at like Dorothy Pack's in town and local pubs, and I just fell in love with that. It's a group of people, and it's a scene, if you like, but it's a gang of people and go and seeing 20, 30 people, and others come in to bigger gigs. And it's really good. I like it. That's what music should be. And I've just fell in love with music. And, you know, it is a bit milder than stuff I used to listen to. But of course, with Satellites, with the Jason and the Scorchers coming, then the guitarist in them was also in a band with Dan Baird out of the Georgia Satellites, which led to them playing the Back Room. Again, amazing. Then a band came over called Driving and Crying that I'd heard of but never listened to. And just maybe 10 years ago, heard them and just thought, why have I not been buying these for years? So it's just, we just found this whole new scene of music. And it's, and I still buy, I mean, I'm so excited next week because Ace Frehley's new album's out, and I'll be like a kid, I'll go straight there and buy it on the day it comes out. But I also like, what I try and do is just buy music from whatever I'm watching, whatever band I'm watching. I always make a point of buying stuff I can buy off and CDs and the like.
Yeah, definitely.
I wouldn't say my musical taste has changed. It's just broadened to other things, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that we all broaden our horizons. Really, there's a lot of things that I listen to these days that probably a few years ago I probably wouldn't have done. Well, I say more than a few years, to be honest. But yeah, we do.
It's like what it's like when you go to Camden, isn't it? And I like that. I think that's brilliant. And you go to Camden and you see bands you've not heard of before, and you do the same thing, don't you?
Yeah.
More down that other sort of route you were down, punk route. I'd love to do that one. One day I'd love to go down there and do all that. If it ever comes.
It's great because I like going to the same sort of places as you, where it's just a little pub with a small band on. And like you say, it's not costing the earth to go and see them, and it's great music, you know. And we get excited.
Quality of music is just it's outstanding because Sheffield can't be alone in that. It must be same in Manchester, Newcastle, Coventry. There's such talent out there, isn't there? But you just have to go out and find it and just try and encourage them to do it.
So, I mean, you listen to a lot of Planet Rock as well, don't you? You've got a few of your drawings done for the DJs there as well, I believe, haven't you?
Yeah, I've done business cards for Paul Anthony and Wyatt. So, one or two for them, and Darren Reddick as well.
Yeah. So, and you get quite a few mentions on there. I've heard you a few times on there.
I'm a right fanboy, aren't I? My wife just laughs at me. But when I work on my own, and it's like it's sad, isn't it? But that's my company. That's who I talk to. That's me. I listen to radio all day.
I wouldn't say it's sad at all. No, not at all. Not in any way. But what famous personalities may have one of your drawings, do you think? We've already spoken about Planet Rock DJs. Is there any others that you might have done a drawing for? Quite famous, or?
Right, you might need to edit this because of what I think. Who's got my drawings? Oh, I should have told you beforehand.
Not a long list, but just one maybe. I don't know. That springs to mind.
Got it. Nico McBrain.
Oh, right, okay.
I'll tell you why that is as well.
Yeah.
Because
for those who don't know, just mention who he is.
He's the drummer in Iron Maiden.
There we go.
A friend of mine, not a close friend, but somebody I know fairly well from a few years ago. I know you're going to spit now, but we used to go and see a tribute band called Livewire,
Right.
AC/DC tribute band, and the road manager, stroke roadie, stroke doing everything for them was a guy called Paul Collier, who's now he's got his own company. He does stage work. I don't know the word is for it. He's not roadie. He has to be a bit rude to call him
stage manager or something like that.
Yeah, but for a lot of big bands,
yeah,
from like pop bands to rock bands, and he's done, he's worked for Iron Maiden and all sorts.
Yeah.
And Nico McBrain was opening a restaurant out in America somewhere, and Paul wanted to send him a gift. And he had me. He did. It's on my page somewhere.
Yeah.
And the picture of Nico, is somewhere in time, spelled time as in herbs. And he sent it out to him, and apparently it's on his wall. He's not the only one, but that's what I can think of off the top of my head, and probably the most famous one I can think of.
No, that answers the question anyway. But one final question for you. What would be your dream job?
My dream job? Well...
If you weren't an artist then, what would be your dream job?
If I wasn't an artist?
Yeah.
I wasn't an artist?
Yeah.
All right. I'd like to be a grumpy beach warden on the beach at St Ives. Because I love Cornwall, St Ives, and I hate how people use beach, abuse beach, and I'd love to do that. Walking up and down there, pair of shorts on. That'd be my dream job. Or barbecue man on beach. It's had to be in Cornwall though.
Yeah, it's not quite the answer I thought you might come out with.
What do you think I would have said?
It's near. A millionaire bar owner on the beach somewhere that played the kind of...
I didn't know there were £1 million involved.
And you played it...
I thought it were on the same financial basis as I am now. Anything's preferable to the second job I've got, isn't it?
Well, I think we'll wind it up there. We've had a good old chinwag. Hopefully people will find that of great interest. Just one final thing. Sell yourself on some drawings.
Sell myself on some drawings?
Yeah, go on.
Well, find me on Facebook, Dave Howarth Artist, and start off with a commission, a caricature, see how well I do, and then introduce me to your company, and I'll do all their graphic design work. How about that? Come and get our tune for your grandma.
And any bands or artists out there that might want a sleeve doing for a single or an album, contact Dave.
Yeah, if I am made and looking now, if you want a cartoon of your grandma, I'm your man.
And there's a point to it all. Thanks, Dave.
Always.
I've really enjoyed this chat today. Thanks for taking time out and doing it. It's been a long while in the making, I think, but there we go. We
need to get a pint sometime when we're allowed. We say it every year.
Yeah.
I would like a night out and a pint and a chat. We're good.
Definitely. I look forward to it. Thanks, Dave.
Okay, mate. No problem.